In this video, we're going to compare the iPhone 14 Pro versus the Vivo 90 Pro Plus. And as you can tell, front-facing camera right now, and it's 1080p on the Vivo, 4K on the iPhone, and it does look a little bit blurry in this like low light test per se, because there's no lights on besides the background light, and it is kind of like, HDR is not as good, but it's all about the back camera, and let's see how that performs. So I'm all packed to go to Boston for the week, so a lot of the footage you will see is from Boston. Let's start off with the colors, and the first thing you'll notice is the iPhone is pretty more on the neutral side, whereas the Vivo, it's very saturated. It does have more of a pop, so it does make it so much easier to share it right to Instagram or social media than the iPhone. Now I noticed there are times when I'm in the shade and I'm shooting a lot of pictures, the iPhone tend to have a very blue greenish outcast throughout the whole image, whereas on the Vivo, the red colors of the bricks, the blue sky, the orange sun, they look like the actual colors. And sometimes I do see the Vivo being a bit darker in the shadows, just because I think it's just more contrastier in general. Now for camera low light performance, the Vivo does tell you to hold still for a little bit, so that kind of slows down the whole flow of things when you're taking pictures, especially when it's in the moment. But on the iPhone, it's very snappy. The moment you press the shutter, it takes a picture, so it's very smooth on that point. The colors in the light still applies the same as daylight, whereas the iPhone is still a bit more leaning towards the flatter side. The Vivo, definitely you could tell the colors make the whole picture more lively, and the colors do stick out more. For low light video, it's actually pretty good. I would say it's very close or even a bit better than iPhone. In terms of the micro jitters, I feel like the stabilization is just a little bit better, but overall they're very similar. Now for the ultra wide angle lens, the coloring when you're under the shade, very similar. The bluish green outcast on the iPhone. Vivo, still colorful in terms of what they need to be, like the reds to be red, the blues to be blue. But that is something common I noticed on the iPhone for a while now, so that is no surprise. For HDR, they both do great, but sometimes I see the Vivo does better, sometimes the iPhone does better, but I do notice the iPhone does it more consistently. And that's usually in the sky where it's too bright, like the clouds to be white, so it does tone it down, you can see a bit more. On a Vivo, it's just overexposed. On the other end of things, the Vivo, I feel like I can see more in the shadows, more details, is a bit brighter, versus the iPhone where it is kind of dark. So in situations like low light pictures, I feel like the Vivo does outperforms it in terms of the coloring, the brightness, just the overall pictures just looks better. Now moving on to telephoto, it's no competition here. The Vivo can go up to 100x, so if you need to zoom in or just need to see something from far away, then the Vivo is gonna be the winner. Shooting at 3x and 3.5x both look great. When you hit 15, that's when you start to see the iPhone to be a bit blurry over the Vivo, and of course the Vivo can go all the way up beyond that. And I feel like 100x isn't really needed to take great pictures, even though it doesn't. It's just something more for you to see if you need to see anything from that far of a distance. So in my opinion, I think anything over 20 or 30x is just something to use as a tool to see rather than using it to take great pictures. Now for video, still pretty good on both. I feel like the Vivo is just a bit sharper. It does look a little bit more processed, but overall I would still take that over the iPhone. Moving on to portrait mode, you can use 1x, 2x, 3x, and 3.5x on the Vivo. So it's great to have all those options when you're outside or even indoors, versus the last Vivo, the X80, does give you the option of 5x, so that I think that was just a little bit too much. Now for the pictures, I do feel like the HDR is a bit better on the Vivo, and of course the coloring is more contrastier. As you can tell, my black coat definitely is more black, versus the iPhone, it tends to be more on a faded black, where it doesn't really look like that in real life. Now for this 2x, for some reason the iPhone didn't capture me, but through all the pictures I took, Vivo consistently did. For the selfies, the iPhone got that bluish overcast look, and it kind of really destroys the skin tone, whereas on the Vivo, definitely you can see the warmth of my skin. The HDR seems to be better as well, and of course the blacks. So I really think the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is a very great camera phone, both video and photos. Although the HDR is not perfect, especially in the highlights, the coloring is really great and it looks very accurate. It's not too contrasty where it looks fake, but just enough where everything looks good. In my opinion, I think Vivo has to be one of the best, well-rounded cameras for Android phones. So let me know what you guys think about the Vivo phone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.